Hey dreamer, welcome to Charleston. Water and sugar, rum. So you're being hit by the umbrella. Today you find me in John Riley Park here in Charleston. It is a beautiful winter day here. The sky is blue, the pineapple fountain is bubbling. It is completely idealistic here in one of my favorite cities. I thought that I would show you around on this beautiful February day. I'd take you to a few of my favorite places and show you just a few of the sights that Charleston has to offer. I've been coming here for years. To tell you the truth, I actually almost moved here a few years ago. I consider this city one of the most beautiful in the entire nation. The people are friendly, the streets are clean, the food scene is off the hook. Although I will be mentioning a few iconic restaurants, let it be known that the city is overflowing with amazing places to eat. You can't walk down a block without stumbling across one or two amazing places to stop in and grab a bite. But we're going to start today at Fleet's Landing. Fleet's Landing is on the water, so you get beautiful waterfront views along with very well-known Charleston staples. More on that later. I'm staying the strip at the Mill House. It has a great location. If you take Queen Street right beside it, it'll lead you right here to the pineapple fountain, which is one of my favorite places. I remember coming here whenever I first visited Charleston, and I love it here. During the week, it's very, very peaceful. There's hardly anybody around. There's tons of benches that you can go and relax at, and then there is a lovely pier that you can go out on. My room at the Mill House with taxes and fees was around $300 a night. Kind of steep, but it is a Hilton Curio property, which means that it just has a little something extra. Really lovely places to lounge. My room is gorgeous and large, and so far I'm really, really happy with it. Before we start walking around too much, I thought I would tell you a little bit about getting around Charleston. Now, I've rented a car here. This time I'm on foot. You can get around pretty well everywhere within a mile's walk. Now, the areas that you need to be aware of before you come, there is going to be Bay Street. That's going to be where your most iconic restaurants are. Then you're going to hear about King Street. That's where all your most famous shopping is. You can walk for at least a mile on King Street and not run out of stores to visit. They have it all. There's plenty of restaurants off of Bay Street. Like I mentioned, we're about to head over to Fleet's Landing there in the harbor. Be prepared if you are bringing a car. There are plenty of places to park it, but they might not be convenient to where you're going. So you will have to walk at least some while you're here. And you should bring stable footwear. Many of the roads and sidewalks are made of brick, and so it can be a little uneven. Now, the famous pineapple fountain behind me gets pretty busy on the weekend. So if you want the iconic photos of it, definitely come early or come late of an evening. Today, it's about noon on a Tuesday, and as you can see, it is pretty empty behind me, so great time to go. I'm here technically in the off season in February, which I don't understand because it is gorgeous here right now. So if you get a chance to go in the winter, come in the winter. Everything is still pretty green and tropical, and the weather will not kill you. It's still actually pretty nice to sit outside with a light jacket. In the summer, it can get very, very hot and humid. So pack and prepare accordingly for that. But I've talked too long. Let's go get some lunch and I'll tell you about some of Charleston's iconic dishes. Now that I'm stuffed from lunch, let me go over some of what I had. So I started with she crab soup, definitely a Charleston staple. Now, how is that different from normal crab soup? Well, it has roe in it, making it pretty well all from female crabs. And so that's the difference. This was really good, really creamy, just a little bit of spice from the sherry. If you like lobster bisque and you want an even creamier, richer version of that, then I highly recommend. I chose Fleece Landing because of its history here in the city. Now, it used to be owned by the Navy, and it was used in the Navy for a long, long time. And before that, it was used as a place to shepherd people across to the Mount Pleasant area, which is right across the river. Fleet's Landing, the restaurant, has been here for roughly 20 years now, and it's become quite the staple. I particularly love the ambiance inside. It's big and open, lots of windows to take in the great view. I had a spicy tequila cocktail from the bar with my meal. I think it was called the Lula Mule. It wasn't served in a normal mule glass. It did have tequila in it, which I love, and it was a bit spicy. I'd probably get something else next time, but they had a great menu of cocktails. No Planner's Punch though. I will find that later and tell you about it because it is a Charleston staple. The rest of my meal consisted of the shrimp and grits. You're going to find shrimp and grits all over the city. The best one is going to vary literally from month to month. Everyone's always trying to top each other in the shrimp and grits category. Everybody says that they have the best. Things to look for if you're looking for a great shrimp and grits. It should be creamy. The grits need to hold up in texture. They don't need to run all over the plate. It also, to be a authentic shrimp and grits, should come with brown gravy. You're gonna have lots of versions, amazing sauces, but the real authentic version comes with brown gravy. Now the gravy shouldn't overwhelm the dish. It should be around it. You should find it as a nice companion to the grits, but you should be able to taste the grits as you're eating the gravy and the seafood. Typical grits will a lot of times have tasso ham in it, and of course shrimp, and then sometimes, like mine today, will have a sausage as an added bonus in there. These were really good, but those are some of the things that you should be looking out for if you're looking for a good shrimp and grits. Now, you might not know what grits are. What is the difference between grits and polenta? Not a whole lot, mainly the region and also the grind that is on the corn. So all grits are made of is really just finely ground corn, and then it's cooked down, and then usually cream or butter or both are added. Now polenta is very, very similar, except it's made exclusively from yellow corn. Grits don't have that designation. They can be made from white corn, yellow corn, or even hominy. You should be able to taste the corn essence in a good grits dish. You can't go to Charleston without having shrimp and grits. It's going to be found on a lot of menus throughout the city, and even on some brunch menus and breakfast menus, believe it or not. So you're going to have plenty of a chance to try it while here. I had a cocktail with lunch, and if you have been here for very long, then you know what that means. I need some afternoon coffee, and I think I passed a place here that looked really cozy. Why don't we go stop in? On the way back to the hotel, I stopped at Hawken Cafe, cutest coffee shop that I've ever been in here in the States. It was something out of Italy, maybe Paris. It was so cute inside. I loved it. I got this incredible dessert that had goat cheese in it. It was so complex. It had a great oat texture. I really enjoyed it. So definitely stop there for some desserts and coffee. Coffee here in Charleston is interesting, to say the least. It has almost a tea-like flavor. It has a more earthy, herbally note to it than a lot of coffees I'm used to having typically have in them. And I don't overly enjoy it. So this isn't one of the cities in America that I would go for like the best cup of coffee. However, I would go back to that cafe every single day if I was here, just to sit there and enjoy the ambiance. Lovely outdoor patio, great friendly staff, fantastic. Really a must stop if you're in the area. Let's go over some of the things that you can enjoy here in Charleston. I'm gonna pretty well take it easy for the evening. I have been here a lot, as I mentioned earlier, and so I've done a lot of the main touristy things. One of my favorite things is to visit the city market. It's really pretty in the middle of the action. You can pick up carriage rides right by it. A lot of tours leave around it, and it's a very central hub. It gets exceptionally busy on the weekends, pretty well shoulder to shoulder, so be prepared. If you can go early, then go early. Of an evening, it really just gets busier and busier until it's time to shut down. If you can go on a weekday, I definitely recommend that. You'll find lots of local artisanal goods, and it's a great place to shop for yourself and people at home. Really like going there. Go almost every trip. Other things to do is carriage rides. They can take you to see some of the old architecture and down to Rainbow Row. Rainbow Row is particularly known for the beautiful houses, and it's a great place to get some photos. Other than that, I just love walking around the city. You'll see a lot of plaques around the city that kind of talk about some history that went on there. And there are many, many, many history tours. There's lots of house tours. I've done a couple of them. Everything that I've done has been really good. If you want to get outside the city, then I highly recommend a plantation tour. There's some closer and some further away, but you can usually get to all of them within 30-minute drive. One of the most well-known is Middleton Place. They do a great tour, and the grounds are just stunning. If you have kids, then the Kids Museum is very, very well rated, and there's also an aquarium that you can visit. The aquarium, I recommend getting reservations ahead of time. Prices go up as the dates get closer, which is kind of unexpected and something to definitely note if you plan on doing that. And number one, I just recommend fitting in as much good food as possible. Like I said, this is one of the best foodie cities in America if I personally was voting, and I think there's just things that you absolutely can't beat. I'm going to relax a little bit, and I will catch you whenever it is time to eat again. Also, Dreamer, if you're here and you're still watching, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'd love to have you here. With that, I definitely will let you go now. Hey, it's much later now. I lost track of time just a little bit, and we need to get going, meaning me and you, to go get some dinner before it's too late to go do that. I did a little bit of research, and I think I'm curious about this place called Church and Union. It's in an old cathedral. It looks really dreamy from the pictures, so I'm excited to check it out. Also, they're supposed to have amazing fried chicken, and if you're in the South, then you should probably have some fried chicken. Last night, though, whenever I got in, I went to Hyman's Seafood. Now, that place is an icon. I think it has 35,000 reviews on Google. Talk about a mecca. I highly recommend Hyman's Seafood if you're coming into town for the first time, because you can try a lot of Charleston staples off the bat. They have free hush puppies and boiled peanuts. Now, I think boiled peanuts and I think Georgia, but actually South Carolina is a huge spot for boiled peanuts. I had no idea before coming here. And actually last night was my first time trying boiled peanuts, and I can't say that they're for me. They kind of taste like beans to me. Almost like a baked bean. It wasn't really my thing, but I can totally see if you were growing up on it that the salty brininess would be nostalgic. They also give free hush puppies, and their hush puppies there are fantastic. Definitely recommend both of those. If I didn't mention earlier, actually a lot of the food here dates back to the Native American times. Hush puppies are tentatively linked to Scottish settlers that like to fry fritters of things, but there's no particular claim to fame there. But the Native Americans used a whole lot of corn, and of course they shared that with the settlers whenever they came over. As for boiled peanuts, shoot, you can find that at any gas station that you stop at. Grocery stores, I think, sometimes sell them. So if you look around, you should be able to find some boiled peanuts. They come in a variety of flavors, most commonly regular and Cajun, but you'll find other flavors along the way. Let me know down in the comments if you tried them and if you like boiled peanuts. The reason that we're going to Church and Union tonight is really because I was having a hard time trying something I wanted to try, which is Planter's Punch. Planter's Punch was a special cocktail here in Charleston. Charleston is known for a couple cocktails. First, the Charleston, which is a take on a Manhattan but has bourbon and I believe Madeira in it. It's probably a little too hard-hitting for me. Sounds not too bad, but I'm not really in the mood for it for tonight. Where Planter's Punch is more of a set style of cocktail, more like a rum punch, if you will. And it was particularly common back in the day with the elites. You got to think that sugar was really expensive, and Planter's Punch is a somewhat mixture of water and sugar, rum, usually some kind of like citrus juice of some kind. Now you're going to find various takes on that around the city, but Church and Union is supposed to have a punch called Palentos? Palentos? I think it's Palentos punch. Saved by the battery dying. I did look it up while you were dead, and it's Palmentos punch there at Church and Union. So that's what we're going for, along with some fried chicken. Also, something to be on the lookout for is Frogmore stew, which isn't stew at all, and it doesn't have frogs in it either. So it's just Lowcountry boil, which is shrimp and sausage, corn and potatoes. Could you get a better list of ingredients than that? Then they boil it in a seasoning, usually Old Bay, but could be a little bit of anything, and they serve it up to you. So you'll find that at a couple restaurants. I think Oyster House has it, along with a couple other seafood houses in town. But you should be on the lookout for a Lowcountry boil that's also known as Frogmore stew, and it is a local staple. I'm going to walk over to Church and Union. Streets are pretty safe. They're pretty well lit, but as always, if you're traveling alone, keep a wary eye out, and I will see you there. just got back from dinner. I grabbed a glass of wine in the lobby. They give you a $10 food and beverage credit here, so you might as well use it. So I got a fine glass of wine. It's called Prisoner. It was a red blend. It's pretty good. Oh, the outdoor patio was such a vibe whenever I came back from dinner. They had the lamps glowing and the fountain was lit up. It was really magical. I could have sat out there all evening, but I thought I'd get back where it was a little quieter and update you on dinner. It wasn't as good as I'd hoped, to be completely honest. The vibe in there is definitely a vibe, and if it had been in any other city in America, I probably would be raving about it. But it being in Charleston, it just wasn't quite as nice and elevated as what is typical here in Charleston. I probably wouldn't go back except if I wanted to bring friends for a drink. My rum punch cocktail that I had was really good. Really good. I usually have a habit of like one drink for dinner if I'm out dining alone, but otherwise I probably would have at least had two. It was really, really good. I got the fried chicken. The sauce on it was great. The pickles were unbelievably good, but the cornbread was bad. If that was your first time having cornbread, you would think you didn't like it. It was dry. It was really dense. I never had cornbread like it. It was just really bad. The chicken was okay, but it wasn't consistently cooked. One piece of chicken was like borderline underdone, and the other one I had was dry. So they were all over the place. Also, the skin wasn't particularly as crispy as I would like. It just wasn't great fried chicken. It was also pretty loud in there, but that's to be expected with all the hard surfaces. It was gorgeous though. So pretty. And they definitely had some beautiful dishes coming out of the kitchen. So there might be other things there that are worth ordering. I'm just telling you from my experience what I thought of it. It's all we can do, right? I am ready for a wonderful night's sleep. I was curled up in the bed earlier and it feels like so comfortable. This room seems really good and I'm loving the location. I think I'd recommend this hotel. I'll put on screen how I thought about the bed and how I slept, but as of right now, I definitely recommend this place. For the lobby alone, it's worth staying here. I'd love to know what your favorite place is here in Charleston. I've been coming for years and I hardly go back to the same restaurant twice, except for Hal's Chop House, which I think is the best restaurant here in the city. Highly recommend if you're coming to town that you stop by, especially for brunch. Thanks for coming along with me as I spent the day in Charleston. I will be back shortly with another travel video. Until then, bye!